Thank you to our friends at RefReps for their support of the From A to Zebra podcast. The full library of podcast episodes is now available at refreps.com under the resources page. Podcast music by the Black Moods. Thanks, Josh, Chico, and Brendan. Rock on. And now, Season 3, Episode 15, Letter R, Rising Sports. Join hosts Dana Pappas and Nate Acosta with special guests Marissa Cox and Amber Freeman on the From A to Zebra podcast.
Welcome back to the From A to Zebra podcast. I'm Dana Pappas, back with my co-host Nate Acosta.
And on this episode, we are talking about the letter R and the topic of rising sports with our first two guests to represent Stunt, a female sport that incorporates skills from cheerleading and is one of the fastest growing female sports in the United States.
And we're excited. This is first. We've never had anybody from any area of cheerleading, dance, stunt on the show. So you all are our first guests to represent, and we're super excited to have you here. Our guests today are Marissa Cox, who is the president of the National and Intercollegiate Association for Stunt Officials, and Amber Freeman, stunt regional coordinator in the great state of Oklahoma. Ladies, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us. So much for having us.
Absolutely.
So before we get into the topic of the day, we would love to learn about both of you. Can you each tell us something about your officiating journeys, how and why you got started, and your stops along the way to where you are now?
Well, as a collegiate athlete, we actually participated in one of the first stunt scrimmages back before it actually was a thing. I remember being at practice and they said, hey, by the way, we're going to learn these, 12 routines, and then you're going to do them all together, which was really crazy at the time. So I did that. And then as a high school coach, I coached for a couple years. Once, we moved on from that, I didn't really have anything to do. And one of our colleges here actually put out a thing looking for officials, needing some more people, especially in Oklahoma. I reached out, met Marissa, and I've been officiating ever since. I've been lucky to do all of our nationals from 2021 on. Even tried to do a nationals at 37 weeks pregnant, but my child decided to come 9 days before nationals. So we didn't get to do that one, but that's okay.
That's a good excuse to miss.
I was going to try to ref it too.
She was there.
Oh yeah, I was there. I brought him.
That's the first time we met.
Love the dedication. Love that. That's amazing.
So
Marissa, what about you?
My officiating journey, I actually never really expected to be an official. I was a coach. I coached all throughout college. I coached cheerleading and track, and then moved to Florida. And my first teaching job, I also coached. And being a teacher, coaching just kind of really fits in perfect until I had my own kids. So I moved back home to Michigan, still coaching, but my twins, I have boy and girl twins and another little one. They were old enough to be in sports themselves. And I found that I was missing so many of their gymnastics meets, some of his games, because I was coaching. And I thought I didn't know which way to go. I didn't want to give up a sport that was everything that I've been doing my whole life. And somehow I found it was our current stunt director with USA Cheer. She was in Michigan as well. Somehow we connected, and I showed up at a scrimmage at Alma College, and they looked at me and said, do you know how to read a Nate count sheet? And I said, yeah. She goes, okay, here they are. You're the routine official. Go sit in the middle. And from that point on, I was like, I'm hooked. And I never actually played the sport. In Florida, Florida State came to one of our competitions, and they did like a just demonstration of what stunt was. I went immediately back and said that was before I moved home to Michigan, but I said, okay, we're going to do that. I love this. This is amazing. And somehow from there, moving home and wound up here.
And that leads us right into our question. We're going to jump right into the topic of the day, which is your sport is certainly a rising sport. And you were starting to go that direction, Marissa. I think it's safe to say really that everybody knows what cheerleaders are. Everybody knows what dance teams are. But stunt is probably new to most of our listeners. So what is it? When did it begin? Tell us everything that you can about it. Marissa, we'll let you start since you were kind of leading us there. And then Amber, please feel free to jump in as well.
So Stunt was created to satisfy Title IX requirements to actually make cheerleading a sport. And it has evolved since back in 2011. There's been a few changes to the format along the way, making it a sport that the fans can easily follow. The scoring system is more of a game format scoring system where points, you're going by 1 point, 2 points, just going back
Wow.
and forth. It's not like a traditional cheerleading where you've got a 9.25 and 4.7, where the crowd kind of is like, I don't know what's happening. So,
So hold on. So is there a scoreboard? Is there like,
there is a scoreboard.
do the fans get to see points go up on the board?
Yep. There's a
That's cool.
scoreboard. We have a possession arrow that if we have a really good score person like Jim at our national championship, he'll even start doing the possession, going back and forth with our arrows. We have
Okay, so hold
timeout.
on. Wait, what does the possession arrow mean? I'm a basketball referee, so like a possession arrow is.
He's got questions.
Yes.
I'm mind blown right now. Okay, so what's a
Well, I
possession
think we
arrow?
actually use the basketball slide in or yep, I use those at school. But the possession is the team gets to call a routine. So we have routines numbering 1 through 8, 1 being the lowest skill level of the skills, but we have more athletes involved. And then all the way up to 8, where we have very high skills that are supposed to happen, but we have less athletes involved. So we have 1 through 8. If you have possession, you get to call which routine you want to go and do. And then both teams enter the mat. So that was my next part was done. Traditional cheerleading, there's only one team on the floor at a time, and you're watching one. Now they've taken Stunt. Now 2 teams are on the mat on each side, and they're doing the same exact thing at the same time. So the crowd can actually see and notice, who's doing it better.
So is it like a head-to-head
It
competition?
is a head-to-head. Yeah.
That's so cool. See,
Yeah,
we're
this is
learning.
insane.
Like, this is
anyone that we
awesome.
run into on the street, they're like, "What stunt?" And I just say, "Well, it's head-to-head cheerleading. Do you want to see them do the same thing at the same time and then pick who did best?" And that's kind of that's how people kind of are like, "Oh, wait, okay." So they're
That's so
performing the
cool.
same thing at the same time, prescribed by USA Cheer. That's how they learn everything. And then it's up to us to determine who did it with the least amount of faults. So there's a wide range of things that you could do wrong to take points off. It's not necessarily saying who did it better. It's with the least amount of issues.
Mistakes. Okay.
That's cool. Okay, that is so now I have questions. So
Yeah.
how do you get the possession arrow? How do you determine who gets
Is it a coin
possession?
flip?
We have a
Coin toss.
coin toss.
That is
I'm
okay.
signing up.
I was gonna
You want to know
say
who the
Nate's
worst
ready.
coin tosser
I'm
in
ready.
the entire league is? It's me. I've hit with the coin. It's fine.
Yeah, I have stories about how bad of a coin flipper I am. No one ever wants me to flip a coin. It's a disaster. I'm like, can anybody else do this? Because I need to be fired from coin flipping permanently. There you go.
That happened once.
Rochambeau.
I'm not kidding. She went out, no coin. She goes, all right, let's just go.
Rock, paper, scissors.
I love it. There's nothing wrong with that. So that is awesome. This is like
So, okay, so are these routines to music? To just so
Just
so
music.
everything's to music.
Yep. So it's actually really fun too in the arena. There's music. The music is catchy. Sometimes we can sing. I mean, we can't, but
Okay,
but we
so
could as fans.
yes.
this is probably the most interesting sport that we've had on our podcast. So these routines, do they go out to teams prior? I mean, obviously prior to competition. Who creates the routine? How much time do they have to practice this routine? And do the officials have access, because this is an officiating podcast, to the routine prior to the competition?
You want to start out, Amber?
So USA Cheer is actually our governing body, and they will provide all the materials. So they have an entire schedule. There is a solid release schedule. You don't get access to the new routines until that point. Currently, we're on a rotating schedule to where we do odds will repeat for a year, and then evens will repeat for a year. So you are able to get a little bit of a head start with your new team, but there is a set of 4 for college, new routines every year. Those come out on a specific And so everyone gets the same level of exposure, really. Officials get those same routines, and it's up to us to learn them and pick them apart and see where things could go wrong, because we only get one chance to watch them. And you're watching two people at the same time. It's not like basketball where you're only watching mainly the ball handler, the people around you. We are watching up to 24 athletes at the same time and having to see which went wrong and know in that instant who was right.
So how many officials are there for one head-to-head competition? Is it just
For
one, or are
college?
there tech judges, or
Yep. So in college, we have 2 scoring officials and a routine official, and they are sitting further away from the mat, usually elevated a little bit. And then we have the referee who's on the mat, who has the whistle, and that's the person that's showing which way the points are going, and they're the arm motion on the mat. And then for high school, Amber,
For high school, we only have 2. We have 2 people at the table, and then we have a ref on the floor sometimes. Sometimes just with funding, we don't have a floor referee. But another fun thing is in high school, we don't have video replay. In college, we have video. High school, you get none. So it is just genuinely 2 people responsible for that one event. Catch it all.
it's a
Figure it
lot,
out.
Okay,
a lot of moving parts?
I have so many questions, and
maybe
I was
we're going
about
to
to
need
say,
another podcast.
This is
I'm
part one, stunt part one.
I'm looking at the upcoming questions, and I'm like, hold on, like just all of our questions are kind of leading into the next question and the next question, but
We're not ready to move on yet.
no, we're not. No. So hold on. You said replay, big part of officiating in all sports right now.
Yep.
You know,
Hot temp.
what would be some of the situations in which we use replay in stunt?
So in college, we have challenges. Coach can challenge a certain call or part of a call that is made.
A mistake.
And
Yes.
they, yes, they
Do we
would,
call them
they're
mistakes? What's the correct verbiage? We want to give our audience the correct verbiage in officiating.
just a challenge.
Well,
no, but
so like
the
for
mistake.
So
Let's go with our
It's an-
5. Okay.
yeah. It's an error, basically, because
Okay.
we also have different levels. You could have just done the routine wrong, or you performed it like you dropped something.
Okay,
So it's basically an error.
perfect.
So we're
We
marking
want
deductions on ours.
rules-based language.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And so a coach can challenge an error or review an error. And what is the percentage that officials like yourself are getting errors overturned?
That's a great question.
If you had to guess, from your own experience.
25%,
Yeah.
maybe.
So you're pretty accurate.
In the college world, we are pretty accurate. We do have that extra official up there, and there isn't video review with any of the lower levels. So having the third person really helps a lot with the eyes, catching everything on the floor. But I definitely would say 25%. However, if the coach is right and we did, their challenge was correct, I guarantee you we're not making that mistake again. It is documented. It is, yes, everyone knows this is the challenge that happened. This is, the part of the routine. This is how it was ruled. And we don't get it wrong again.
So what's a perfect score? Is there a perfect score, or does it depend on routine?
Oh.
So our scoring actually just recently changed. It used to
Okay.
be that a perfect score would be 24-0. That means
Okay.
that you won every routine. We do have ties for routines, so, it's up for debate if that would be a perfect game or not if you technically tied. But now we have implemented something that we've titled within 2, which means that you won the point, but barely. So we represent that by giving the winning team 2 points and the losing team 1 point, which means the point differential stays the same. But on the scoreboard, you can now see that team was a lot closer than a 1-0.
Okay.
You can see that they were really close to that tie. And it just makes it a little bit easier for the fans to understand that, we didn't win, but we were close. So if we tried it again in quarter 4, maybe we could win that again. It helped a lot for clarity for the fans.
This is fascinating. Now I need to see this in action because wow, this is so cool.
You know what,
I'm
Dana?
so excited.
Dana, this is the first time I think on our podcast ever we've actually really just gone completely away from the script, because I think we want to know about the sport
Absolutely.
more than anything, and how it works. Because I mean, traditional, obviously I'm a lifelong basketball official, and and being at the NMAA office, Dana and I, we were around your traditional sports, volleyball, baseball, softball, but learning a new sport is so interesting, and it's mind blowing. But I will get into the next question, and that's, obviously you've talked about, you both of you have mentioned either college or high school. There is some club aspect to this. Currently, it's a new sport. How many, how many schools or clubs or organizations are involved in stunts, as it is a ongoing sport? And, how is that kind of like transitioning into like state associations?
All right. So for college, we have 85, including club and divisions 1, 2, and 3 varsity. So we have 85 colleges across the country. Our one association assigns for all college games and coordinates across the country. So our officials are all coming from one association in one spot, making it a very cohesive group that's coast to coast. So that would be 85, including everyone. If we're looking at just NCAA varsity, we are at 45, projected for next season 54. So we're growing
That's
extremely
great.
fast,
Rising sport.
but growing even faster below us, which is the way it should be, which Amber's got high school numbers for you.
So California, we've got 3 main states that run high school right now. You've got California, Oklahoma, and Missouri, and we're all a little bit different. California is run by 2 different sections. They're run with a northern section and a southern section. Between the 2, they've got about 250 high schools, which California has quite a few
Yes, they do.
schools. So that's a pretty good number for them. But they've got 2 different associations that run and function similarly, but they do keep the 2 separate. So they run 2 state championships, or at least sections, and then they come together for one. Missouri actually was adopted as a sport last season. They just held their first state tournament this past weekend, and they had 14 competing teams there. And it was actually a first-year team that won the state title. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they've got their own state association to run officials, but they work through the Missouri High School Association. And there's the little odd duck of Oklahoma, which is me. We already have 2 state championships for cheerleading, so they're not exactly interested in giving us a third right now. So I run the OKSOA, which not only puts the sport on for the state, we also do the officiating. So my association, me, handles the scheduling, the registration, the handling of all teams. I put on the state tournament, and I run the official side of it. So my officials get certified through USA Cheer. We live under Marissa's umbrella a little bit, but then I also assign them out. And, my little crew of 18 officials just worked over 300 games in a span of 4 weeks this year. So we are a strong but mighty crew.
No doubt.
We did 181 in 2 weeks, if that says anything.
Okay.
When is your competitive season? What time of year do you all?
For Oklahoma, we run from 2-1 to about 4:15.
Okay.
No one plays, though, until March. They're
Okay.
just not ready based on the calendar of how cheerleading goes with nationals and things like that. No one plays until March. And so they really shove everything in the week before spring break, the week after spring break, and then, oh wait, it's regionals already. So
You know what? And this is, I mean, it is on topic, but it's the verbiage that I have heard is play, games. When you think of dance and cheer, you think of competition
No.
and
Performance.
performance.
Yep.
And I mean, I'm just mind blown, because I mean, I did do a little research, and I've asked, because I do have friends that have kids that are in competitive cheer, and they kind of know about it, but they don't know about it. And so I thought this was something that people knew about. What are we doing to promote the sport?
Everything that we can.
Who wants to hear about it? 'Cause I'll literally tell anyone.
They're
Yeah.
coming on the
Yes.
From A to Zebra podcast, clearly.
Exactly.
Well, I
So
mean, some
USA
initiatives, some
Cheer
things.
are for college. The USA Cheer representatives, they do attend the NCAA conference. All of our officials that are leading associations have attended the NASO conference since I've attended to the one that was virtual.
Right.
That's
So that would have been
So are
23.
so so are
we've
we
been
having are we
trying.
having to go are we having to go into state associations, universities, club programs, trying to convince them to pick this up as a sport? Obviously here in New Mexico, I think, you know, our time at the NMOA, spending all those weekends at state cheer and dance, right? State spirit and dance, I actually would have enjoyed this much more. No offense,
Vanessa
because
Whitaker better not hear this name.
Vanessa, I'm sorry. I'm no, I just think that I don't know that enough people know about it. And what are we doing to get into state associations? Are we going to board of directors? Are we talking to executive directors? Those are the things that, like, I think, because coming from state association, right? I think it's hard for state associations to change what they've always done, right?
You don't
And
say.
but to actually, like, show this, and how are we, I mind blown, and I think this is a cool rising sport, in the sense that not enough people know about it. Obviously Dana and I have been around the officiating world and sports world for a long time, and neither one of us know anything about a sport that you're talking about.
And it's
I'm
funny because Nate,
pretty
when I
sure
was in the
though
state
that I
office,
corner. Go ahead.
no, I was in the state office. I remember in about 2012, Stunt was introduced to the NMAA, and it was just one of those things where it was so new that the director of spirit at that time was just like, I really don't know. There wasn't a lot of the spirit background really in our office at that time, so it was just trying to, we were trying to figure out how to run spirit, and we were just getting spirit judges certified for the first time. So there were a lot of dynamics, I think, that precluded us from going in that direction. But I think just hearing about this, it sounds amazing. Like I definitely need to see this in action. I need to find where there's an event and check this out because it sounds incredible. Marissa, I want to go back to you for just a second. What is the college season?
Our college season, the first games are February 1st. And recently, our national championship has been at the end of April. And it is going to be moving to the very beginning of May. So we're going to go
Okay,
February 1st through the first week of May.
very cool.
So
Thank you.
is that considered a NCAA championship?
Yes, this is our
Okay.
first time coming up this next season.
And I
It
think
has
Awesome.
been
I'm gonna
considered,
catch.
okay, so it has been considered an NCAA championship, but USA Cheer has hosted the national championships since
Okay.
2018.
So it's
So
not
they've
like
been the
it falls
host.
under the umbrella of the NCAA.
Yep.
Okay.
And so next season will be the first time that the NCAA will host the championship.
And that's for all divisions, correct?
Yes, all divisions. It'll be a collegiate
And
championship.
and so for our listeners, think about that, right? For the NCAA to want to take that under their umbrella and have an NCAA championship, just like they would, the national championship, volleyball championships and the football and everything else. Like, this is truly a rising sport.
Very cool.
So
So
Wow.
exciting.
I want to hit on the officials. I think Nate wants to sign up. So Stunt has an
Yeah,
official
mind blown.
certification process. How would somebody
It is.
become a stunt official? What's required, necessary qualifications, and what kind of training resources are offered to somebody if Nate wants to get signed up? What does he do?
Nate, you can do this. Absolutely.
We'll teach
We
you.
do have officials that don't have a cheerleading background. So most of the time we put them starting out as referees, but to go back to the very beginning, you would go to stuntthesport.org, and at the top, you would click on officials, and there's a drop down menu and choose become an official. From there, they are going to join USA Cheer with a membership, background check, everything goes through USA Cheer. Then there's a course. So you're going to take a small training course, a certification exam. Pass the certification exam and you are certified at the paper level. And then from there, you want to go? No. Yeah.
I say from there, once you start picking up games, you're really going to get buddied up with more of the veteran officials. And that's when you're going to get that experience in the nuances of the game. Any official that comes in that doesn't have cheerleading experience is great to start as referee. Because in college, the referee actually does run game flow, all interactions with the coaches, things like that. So we do have several people that have other certifications for referees. They come to us, they handle our games, and it's great. That also opens us up to putting different scoring officials on, because that is a skill that you do kind of have to pick up and go. We do pride ourselves that you don't have to know cheerleading to understand what's right and wrong in these skills. We keep everything basic to where this was right, this was wrong. So for most of it, it's just going to be trial by fire. You've got to get in there, you've got to get exposed to these things, and it's really easy to pick up.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Because I do know, working with traditional cheer judges, that was complicated. I mean, there were the judges, the tech judges, and everything is so highly technical in both cheer and dance that it would be hard for somebody that didn't grow
I
up in
can
that, in that sport to really learn it to that degree. So hearing that something that, hey, if you think this is exciting and fun and maybe you have an aptitude for sport, this might be something that you could do. So that's really cool. I had no idea. Very cool. I am learning so much today.
Absolutely. And so what about training and development? There's rules tests, there's things like that, but what is the stunt organization and what are you guys doing to develop your officials? I mean, that's huge for, I think, all sports.
At the college level, we are national. So people coast to coast, a lot of our training is going to be virtual. We do have a member on our board who is our training and development director. She comes out with short little training snippets and we post them in our band group, which is just a nice, easy way to communicate with everybody quickly. She'll post our little training snippets in there. People will go in, they'll either comment on it, like it, we'll just see that we've got a lot of interaction and we know that we've had a lot of people that have seen it. So that's one way. Another way is our mentorship program. So we have, kind of regional pockets, and throughout that is going to offer that more of in-person, personable training. And like I said, USA Cheers, that paper pencil training. We're doing more of that on the job, on site training, and scrimmages are great. We love scrimmages, so
Do we
scrimmages are the place
do
where
we
we can
do we have
really-
any national event? Do we have any national events or local, like, state events or things that kind of help develop officials? Is that in the works? Are we planning that?
So here in
Yes.
Oklahoma, I have started that. We host a big tournament at OBU every year. That's just one of the big college events. So by that point in the year, I've got my officials mostly lined up. So I invite them out. They're allowed to sit up there with us and they're allowed to live score the game. Obviously, their scores have no impact on it, but they're learning how to be in the moment. They meet me, they see how the game goes, they get to ask questions. And it's nice for us because we're seeing the collegiate level, which is inherently going to be better than high school. So they're getting a really good representation of the sport. Then they're a little bit more enabled once they break off to our high school pockets, because here we do have two kind of sections with Oklahoma City and Tulsa. Don't let us fool you. We are not a large state that's a whole 90 minutes apart from each other. But then they're a little bit more enabled to go out there. They'll also find new officials. We can also continue to train on the job by allowing those people to come in and shadow. And again, that's a luxury we have here just because Oklahoma is a really big player in stunt, just both collegiately and high school. But yeah.
That's cool. And I love the fact it sounds like the high school and collegiate groups are very very joined and connected, which I think is important because sometimes that isn't the case, and it's hard sometimes for people to understand what the other level is doing, but the fact that you're actually doing training at a collegiate event, like, that's cool. I love collaboration, and it sounds like you all are definitely in that mode, and you may have touched on this for both of you. If there was one thing that you could tell the world about officiating stunt, what would that be? Like, what would be your elevator pitch for somebody for officiating stunt? Amber, I'll start with you this time.
Okay.
Yes.
For me, officiating stunts about being a part of something that's growing. You're going to be a small cog in the wheel, but your impact is going to be vital. Just being involved
Mhm.
in the last 6 years or so, I have personally had my hand in so many little rule implementations, events, things that have changed the course of how this sport has been shaped. And that's been super, super satisfying. You can't really say that for a lot of bigger sports because, say basketball, football, those are all so large. Your impact may not directly affect the shaping of the sport. Ours does. The way that we officiate the sport, the way that we see things as officials, the way that we interact with these coaches, and the way that we don't want to interact with these coaches, that's actually still in the phase of being listened to. And we can really change and shape this sport into what makes everybody happy and cohesive.
Love that. Marissa,
So
same
true.
to you.
And it's fun.
Oh, it is
We
fun.
are a team. We're the third team out there, and it's fun. You're meeting some amazing people from all over the country. And even though my bestie lives in another state, we met through this sport. So you can meet some great people. So say yes. You don't have to have a background in stunt because most of us don't. We have all learned and we'll meet you where you're at.
Well, and I think it's great, Marissa, because you talked about it, and so many of our guests, whether they are professional in their sport or interscholastic, like we all talk about the relationships of what officiating does, and it's really cool to see two people that really weren't involved in officiating until their sport became, or started to rise into a sport. And so you're seeing, I think, firsthand. I know, and again, we're off script, but you know, you talked about way off script, but you're
Wait,
talking
hold
about
on.
yeah,
Do we
you're
have a
talking
script?
about yeah, you're talking about relationships and officiating, and that's kind of how Dana and I started this podcast was, the fact that 98% of what we do is relationships, and why we are passionate about what we do is the relationships that we have built. You talked about your bestie that lives in Oklahoma, and you met through officiating, and so, and the importance of that, and so it's really cool to hear two people that are talking about relationships in officiating that have kind of come into officiating in a different way that most people do, and so it really is kind of cool. I know that we had talked about this year at the NCAA. It's going to host the national championships beginning in spring 2027. What does that actually mean to both of you personally about the sport overall? Marissa, we'll start with you since you come from that, or you have a majority of the college realm.
Hard, and it feels like we made it, if that makes any sense. We've in cheerleading, I don't know, I probably think most small little cheerleaders in elementary school have had the same argument that cheerleading is a sport. We do so many things that are athletic, and it actually hasn't been recognized as a true sport due to the way it is defined. And now stunt being recognized by the NCAA feels just like we did it. We made it. We're there, and it's going to keep growing from here. So it's not the end. It's just the beginning.
I think it's really cool to be able to know, and especially I see a lot. I mean, we start in elementary here in Oklahoma, but I can now talk to parents, both the kids that I coach, these kids that I see. Hey, did you know that your kid can attend college for free? We have loads of full ride scholarships attached to stunt now that it's being
Mhm.
recognized as a sport. And in cheerleading, that's never been a thing. Sideline cheerleaders are not typically scholarshiped or paid in any way to be there. This is an opportunity for these kids to not only play at a higher level, but to be able to go to college. And I always relate everything back to Oklahoma, and that's just not a thing for everyone here. And this has opened up so many doors for kids. Kids from these inner city Oklahoma City public schools that we
Mhm.
convinced to play are now going to college because they can, and it's paid for, and it's a sport that they get to excel in. So every time that I get to talk to someone, I'm like, did you know this is a real sport? This is an NCAA sport. Look at this cool patch I'm going to get to wear on
Mhm.
my shirt. Like,
I was
this is
waiting for that.
we're so excited for shirts. Marissa and I are the main
I know.
on-floor referees. We like to match our whistles, we match our stripes, and that patch is about to literally change our lives. We also rhinestoned our whistles this year. I think that's really important to know, and I'm fully prepared to show Ron Foxcroft, "Hey, would you like to do this? It's striped and bedazzled in black and white stripes to match my shirt."
Foxcroft might do it. He might do
See, I
S-
think I
he
have
might
a
do
pitch
it.
for it. I was gonna bring it.
Yes,
You
Speak,
better.
bring it to NASO.
I
You
have
have to.
to.
speak,
I have a
and
disco ball
speak,
one too.
and
It's so good.
and speaking of the uniform, right? Stunt officials wear black and white stripes. You know, I obviously, Dana and I named our podcasts from A to Zebra, and we live by these black and white stripes. And I mean, I have a tattoo that is a zebra on my shoulder, and I love the fact that you wear black and white stripes. Please never change that. I don't know if you guys are talking about changing your uniform, but
I think
okay.
we actually kind of pushed for that because originally the referee on the floor wore the same polo as the scoring officials. And we kind of just started pushing the boundaries, and Marissa and I ended up just now we're all in stripes. Well,
I
not
Love it.
love
the on floor officials are in stripes. The
I
up top
love it.
ones are still in their polos, but
let's
And
bring the stripes back. Let's
I
come
make
on.
all my high
All
school officials
sports.
wear it too. I mean, I think that's how you know you're in charge of the game. If someone is in a situation they need to get an answer from someone, you're going to look for the stripes. So I think it's really important that camera representation shows that they're in charge.
I
And
I
and
have to
I
I have to say I'm reading Nate's body language right now. We've known each other a long time. Both of us are so excited
So
right
excited.
now, and I don't know if it's irrational excitement or if it's legit. I don't know, but there's a lot going on, and Nate's wheels are turning. After this is over, he's probably going to email both of you 600 questions. Just be prepared for that. So
We
it's going
can
to
pull
happen.
videos of us at nationals. Don't worry, they're online.
I love this.
well, and to me, I legitimately I'm falling in love with this sport. I mean, not sure that I have time to officiate this sport, but I'm falling in love with the fact that it's something that I don't it's not what when you think of a referee and you think of officials, you don't think of stunt. And I think that
We're
I'm
going to
hoping
start.
that I now officially invested in learning about the sport. I want to know everything about it, and only because I think that there are people out there that, you know what, basketball is not their sport. They're not going to be able to, you know, officiate that sport for whatever reason, or baseball, or softball, or for whatever reasons, either or whatever the reason might be. And I think this is an opportunity for people to get into officiating, which Dana and I are passionate about in any sport, you know, at a different level. And it's competition, and man, I
But like
mind
you
blow.
said, Amber, you were talking about, the ability to get in kind of on the ground level of something and really be a part of the formative process. There's something meaningful about that where you can really contribute to it, and it's being a part of something that's bigger than yourself and knowing that maybe your voice had some impact on the rules or the way a game is conducted or whatever the case may be. I just think that that's really, that's something special. You don't have that opportunity in a lot of other avenues, and I think that that's what makes it special. And you know, kind of we're talking about Nate becoming a stunt official. So, what do you think are some of the barriers to recruiting and retaining stunt officials? And, the two of you are really active with the NASO Summit, which is awesome, as are some of your other co officials. How do you think that the entire officiating industry NASO, NFHS, other organizations? How can we all help with some of those, bringing down some of the barriers to getting people into stunt officiating?
I think a big barrier for us right now is location. We do have colleges across the nation, but not everyone's hosting games. And those that do host games, sometimes we have to be able to find officials in that area. I do think it would be nice to get a little bit more clarity into what a stunt official is and to get that, hey, you don't have to know everything about it. We can help you learn it. And then that way, people that are off season, other officials could then
Yes.
do our season because
Uh-huh.
the basics of it is knowing right and wrong. You have to know in your heart, you're going to watch, you're going to count everybody fairly on both sides. And that's, a basic skill for an official. So I think if we could just get some people interested in it that maybe do other sports, we'll teach them. We'll show you what you're wanting to see. We'll show you the rules. We just need a little bit more visibility into it, I think.
And that's a great point. We talk a lot in all sports about go to officials in other sports and try to bring them in because there are people who have an off season. Some people are doing 5 sports and we understand that. But recruiting from within is so critical in trying to grow our population. And I think being able to advertise it is absolutely on point. Marissa, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, anybody want to let NASO know that we would have a great You Be the Officials clip?
Let us on the stage. Someone let us do it.
Someone let us up there.
I know somebody on the
You
board.
make the call. That's what we need.
Yeah,
Like-
we would be so good.
I know
I'm
somebody on the
making
board.
note of that.
One of us
Oh.
is not afraid of a microphone and would absolutely run that stage. No, it's me. They won't let me have. I want to have the microphone for our challenges. We don't do like basketball where you say what it is. I
No,
want someone
I'm not
to
very
give
good
me
at
the
it.
mic. I would excel at it. Give it to me. Let me tell them what they said. Let me tell them the answer, and then we can go on with the game. And then I don't have to get yelled at when everyone's confused. Everyone would know, and I would be happy because I had a microphone.
I love it.
So, poor announcer, we have to don't give Amber like she's reaching for it.
So,
Don't
no,
grab it.
I'm the referee that's
would be
like
good.
fish-eyed. I'm like, after review, yeah, we're gonna give it to that team. Cool.
Yeah, that would absolutely just fill my cup. Let me do it. Let me be the awkward person. And again, I am also the referee that keeps it light. I tell everyone I am not the stuffy person. Like, we're going to have fun. We're all going to dance while we're waiting. We're going to have some fun. And if I could just be on the mic, DJ Amber mixing it up, think how fun it would be. No one would be scared of me.
I'm signing up now just for that. But Marissa, I think what you just said about that exposure, because I remember being at the NASO summit for the You Make the Call, and they had rugby, and they had sports that most of the people in the room are not familiar with. And when the expert gave kind of the description, everybody was like, what are they even talking about? So I could definitely see stunt being one that everybody would be like, I have absolutely no idea. And then they would learn about it and then you get some exposure. So I made a note, and I'll be sending a note to the powers that be to see if there's a space.
Somebody's on the board.
I don't know who that might be, but
Do you got a flashing arrow? We can just put an arrow on you.
yes.
Everybody points at Dana.
No, that's great. And I think it's so important because we talk all the time about that officiating family, and that's regardless of which stripes you're wearing, or if you're not wearing stripes because you do baseball and softball. That support for each other and being able to really talk about it. This is a sport that is not, a household name yet, but I think it will be. I mean, I think that there's so much potential, and now that it's an NCAA championship and hearing the growth, I think it's going to be something that people are going to be watching on ESPN, and there's going to be, there's going to be some energy toward it, which is super exciting. Like it's cool to see where it can go because it's on the doorstep now, and it can only go up from here, I think. So that's really cool.
And with that, let's transition to our final question. And that, it's one that we ask all of our guests from A to Zebra podcast. We do have a mission, and that is to educate, elevate, and excite our listeners. What can you tell our audience about officiating that accomplishes this mission, specifically in stunt?
All right. So educate, elevate, and excite. As officials, I think as an official, we are educating because we are a new sport. So the fans don't necessarily know exact rules or exactly what's happening. But as the officials are making the call, which way the point is going, which team is winning each point, we are part of the education of the sport to the fans, to even to the coaches, and to the players. So officials are doing a lot of educating while making our calls, and the elevating, I mean, that part, we have elevated this sport, fast tracked it from just a little club or a little idea all the way to the NCAA in a short amount of time, which is awesome. And then
Absolutely.
excite, I'm always excited. But the exciting part is just creating all of these new opportunities from club for all of our youth athletes, our high schools, all of these new opportunities for females to get involved in the sport and then continue to be involved in a sport that they love all the way through college is the really exciting part. Remember?
Um, just for me, ways to educate and elevate and excite. Officiating, especially in stunt, again, it gives you that purpose. You are a part of something that's growing. You get to really be a part of it, and it gives you something to be passionate about. I recently just got a new job, and the first thing that I told them about, hey, have you heard about stunt? Hey, guess what? I'm a referee. And it's been such a fun thing because then, people have learned my personality through this. They've now learned what stunt is. I've gotten to give a little TED talk on one of our all staffs just by being excited about the sport and showing people it's cool. But I also relate a lot of what I've learned through officiating in my professional career. Just knowing, right from wrong, how to work with different people. I've learned all of that by dealing with coaches on the floor. You have to stay cool. You have to keep a level head. You can't just yell at people, even if they're yelling at you. And unfortunately, corporate America is kind of like that too. So I feel like officiating has just made me a better version of myself. And I mean, honestly, Marissa and I tried to become flag football officials too, but it's taught me so many skills that I want to just keep applying in other aspects of my life. And so that's been really fun. And stunt's just the coolest.
Man, this was so much fun. Like, I learned so much. You always say when you learn something new, you could just be done for the day. I think I'm done for the day because I just learned so much in the last hour or however long we've been talking. It went by super fast. Marissa Cox, Amber Freeman, thank you so much for being on the show. Can't wait to see you both in Grand Rapids at the NASO Summit. Bring your bedazzled whistle because I got to see that, and we will make sure that it gets in front of Mr. Foxcroft because that's legit. Really, really excited to learn more about the sport, learn more about the both of you. Appreciate your enthusiasm for officiating. I'm so glad that you found a home in officiating with stunt. I think that's amazing, and it's so good to have you in the officiating family. And once you're on this show, you're in Nate and my officiating family. So now you're kind of stuck with us. So just know that anything y'all need, please feel free to reach out. We are here for you 100%.
Thank you guys so much.
Yep. And Amber, Marissa, thank you so much. I learned so much today and had a blast. I really, I am a nerd for officiating in all sports and anything that I can learn from another sport to take into my sport. And I just thank you for that. But for our listeners, thank you for joining us from the From A to Zebra podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook, Instagram, and X for more information about the show. You can also find our full library of podcasts from all seasons on the resources page of the refreps.com and our homies over at the Styrofoam Social.
When I fall without fail, when I land.
Be sure to hit that like button, follow, subscribe, and also catch From A to Zebra on Instagram at from_A_2_zebra, Facebook From A to Zebra Podcast, and on X at From A to Zebra.